State legislatures are now concerned about the potential for violence in the wake of the Capitol insurrection. Florida lawmakers proposed a bill to increase penalties for people arrested during a violent protest. And Fox 35's Ryan Elijah is joining us live right now. He is talking with Florida's Speaker of the House. Ryan?
Good to be with you this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So this bill would increase penalties for violent protests. The governor introduced this over the summer, but you feel now the time is right after what we saw last week at the Capitol riot?
I do. Well, I joined the governor this summer, myself and Senate President Simpson, to announce what we wanted to do in this bill. But the other night, while we hadn't planned on talking about it for several more weeks, the time was right to announce the bill, to let everyone know that here in Florida, we take this kind of violence extremely seriously, and that we're committed to keeping our streets, our neighborhoods, our businesses, and our government buildings safe.
What type of punishment would they face if they took part in one of these mobs? And then how do you define that? Because, of course, all demonstrations are a little bit different.
Yeah, so rioting, in the criminal context is already there. What we've done here is created a new law of aggravated rioting, which has elevated penalties. What it indicates is the kind of violence that you've seen on your television, whether that was some of this summer, whether it was what was happening in the Capitol complex in Washington, D.C. the other night. If somebody is injuring a police officer, that has happened now both during the summer as well as you saw the death of Brian Sicknick, the Capitol Hill police officer. Those crimes are being elevated. If somebody injures a police officer during the course of that aggravated riot, they're going to spend 6 months in jail. If they're arrested during that aggravated riot, they are going to spend the night in jail across Florida and throughout the country. We had times where people were going to jail, bonding right out, and going right back to the violent protest. That's a powder keg situation, doesn't keep our streets safe. This bill will stop that practice.
As you know, some Democrats have expressed opposition. They argue this could violate either protesters' right to assemble or free speech as well. What's your reaction to that?
Burning a building isn't free speech. Injuring a police officer isn't free speech. Destroying a neighborhood, being violent, trespassing, breaching a government building, none of that is free speech. So the criticism that this somehow violates free speech is just total nonsense. This is about cracking down on violent and criminal behavior.
We've seen times change, unfortunately, whether it's the protests and riots we saw this summer and now what we saw at the Capitol. Do you think state general assemblies have to adjust to that as well and realize that we need to protect ourselves in different ways?
Absolutely. I mean, I think you have to have an elevated sense of what's happening out there. There has been a number of articles out there as well as advertisements about a protest on Sunday at the state capitals across the country. Many people are saying that people want to come armed. We have talked about, we've beefed up our security here at the state capitol, and we will take it extremely seriously. Myself, the Senate President, the governor are all committed to keeping the Capitol complex safe. But we believe that safety shouldn't just extend to our state capitol. It should extend to all of our businesses, all of our neighborhoods, and all of our families across the state. None of this kind of criminal behavior should disrupt them or disrupt their lives. The promise of government is to keep them safe, and that's what this bill does.
Speaker Sprowls, really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.